Hello, everybody. Welcome. I'm Katrina, and this is Sow and Tare live chat. We do this live chat every Monday at 6 p.m. Pacific time, and it's a whole lot of fun. If you have any questions, go ahead and put it in the comments, and we'll get to them. We have a special guest today, though, so we're going to have a little different format than usual. And I'm going to say hello to everyone right now. Hi, everyone, and we'll say hi to you guys later. But right now, we have a special guest. If you guys saw my interview with Conal, you'll already know what this is about. But Conal is with Ousia Labs, and they have some awesome things coming up with essential oils. So go ahead, Conal, introduce yourself and tell us what you got.
Okay, for sure. I'm Conal, Ousia Labs. We're here in Colorado, based out of Loveland, which is about an hour north of Denver, just to give you some perspective. We are in basically extraction manufacturing and have created what's the world's first countertop CO2 extraction unit for extracting flavors and scents and things like that in your own home. And so we're in the middle of what we call a pre-sale campaign, sort of. The unit will be ready to ship early next year, so we're getting a backlog ready, and we're going to fulfill orders early in 2024. And in order to do that, we launched the Indiegogo campaign, which is still live right now, and basically is going to be going for another about 3 weeks, and we're offering really, really cheap pricing for pre-orders on this unit through the Indiegogo campaign. And so we can get more there. I think there's a link to that in the description of this chat as well.
Right. So all the links are in the description, and I will also put them in the chat as we go. But all the links are in the description for Ousia Labs, for Conal's email, and then also for the Indiegogo campaign link. So those 3 links are in the description. I'll also put them in the chat so you guys have them easy access while we're talking. And yeah, so at home and is a really, really easy, good machine for the homesteader, for at-home essential oils. And can you maybe, I think probably most people who are in the chat kind of know about the product already because they saw the interview, but do you want to just kind of quick go through some of those things that we talked about in that interview? Kind of like electricity and ease of use and stuff like that, just to kind of give a context.
Easy. It's a real simple machine. Basically, picture something that's about the size of 2 side-by-side coffee makers, practically. And the way that it works is basically you just got to plug it into regular AC power. The only power that it takes is there's a little chiller inside, which takes the CO2 and turns it into a liquid, which then runs through the botanicals, which creates the essential oil, basically strips it out of that. So that the only electricity that's being used on this thing is for that and for the little touch screen. Basically, this thing, let's say you're doing a run for 4 hours, it's going to use less energy than like a toaster would while you're toasting some bread. So it's really, really low energy output. I always say basically the power behind it really comes from the CO2, which is inside the system. So that's what's doing most of the work. But really what it can do is basically take any kind of botanical that you want and turn it into an essential oil, right? And then you can use that for any kind of product that has essential oils in it. So like if you want to cook with oils that you make from your own garden, right? You can do that kind of thing. If you want to make your own soap, so that you don't have to purchase soap, you can do that with whatever kind of botanicals you're going to run through it. Let's say lavender, you can do rosemary, sage, basically anything you'd like. It's pretty exciting that we're going to be able to offer this to the public too.
I think it's great. So we have our first question from Steve. Steve says, during the interview, it was stated you can feed byproducts of making essential oil to quail or chickens. That's kind of what this group mostly has as far as animals. Can you tell if the nutrients are in the oil or any left in the byproducts? Yeah, that was kind of an offhand question that I had asked just as a random thing. I didn't expect there to be a whole lot of nutrients in there, but
know that
You
it
know?
strips everything out. It's kind of crazy. The material that's left over once you run the CO2 through it looks really similar to the product that you like initially that you put in. So it's not taking everything out. There will be some things left behind, but I'm not completely sure about nutrients specifically. What I'm going to do for these kind of questions, if I don't know that exact answer, I'm going to write these things down. And then when I get back with you again, Katrina, I'll be able to list
Okay.
these things. And yeah, we can do a little email blast or something to you guys.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. I'm guessing it probably doesn't have much nutrients. Kind of most of the point of me asking that question was to like, is this still okay? Like you had said, you can compost it and that's good. And I think part of what people may have missed in that translation is some of the stuff that you use in other ways can't be composted because it has nasty stuff in it. Is that correct? Like not this machine, but other ways of extraction that
Oh,
companies
sure.
do.
Yeah, I mean, if you're using like propane or butane or those kind of other solvents, or even like ethanol, like alcohol extraction, those kind of things tend to destroy the raw material a lot more than they're a lot more caustic. So there's going to be a lot less left than there will be with CO2. It's just a cleaner, sort of more efficient process. So that's correct.
Right. Right. Okay. That I just kind of wanted to close that circle on that. So yeah. So if you guys have any questions for Conal, that's what he's here for. I know we have a couple people out sick, so I'm hoping they get better soon. Verna is one of them. So you probably won't see her on here. Yes. So Fulster Farms asks the same CO2 we use to kill birds. So if you are putting your bird to sleep with CO2 for reptile stuff, do you know?
I mean, CO2 is CO2, right? I mean, so basically it just sort of comes in a pressurized container, and depending on what size of the container is, so the CO2 is definitely going to be the same. CO2 is just for a different application, right? So the bottles that we're going to sell for the unit specifically are going to be about the same size as like a soda stream bottle. So if you can picture like a 1 liter little sort of soda, you know what I mean, CO2 container. But we're also going to sell an adapter where if you do have a larger CO2 big container, whatever, a 20 liter or 50 liter or whatever the size, you'll be able to unalive the birds. I'm sorry, I just read that. You'll be able to put that onto the unit too, and then use it. It uses a very small amount of CO2. So wherever you're sourcing it from, it's the same CO2 you're picturing.
And you said that you were going to have an adapter.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. And all those things will be available
for
too.
Different
Like
sizes.
Correct. Yeah. We'll make sure that all those things can be plugged into the system. Basically, when you're thinking about it, the CO2 is going to come in whatever form it comes in. So whatever size tank you've got, you can use that tank, and you'll dump. Basically, the system will dump a certain amount of that CO2 into the system. All that it needs is about 1,000 psi in order to run. Once it reaches that pressure, then that's all the CO2 it needs for that run. And you don't have to refill it until the next run, right? And then you'll have to dump the pressure, harvest the oil, and then you can start over again, basically. But it doesn't take hardly any CO2 to run at all.
Right. So for those that pressure can, I would assume it's similar to pressure canning, where you take a long time for the pressure to get up. I don't know how long it takes to get to pressure get up. I should ask that question right now after I say this thing. But it takes a while for the pressure to get up. It does its thing, and it takes a while for the pressure to go down, and then you take it out, and then we put new stuff in. You can run it again, but the pressure has to go up again. So how do you know how long that's expected to be with these? How long it takes for pressure to go up or down, or the whole process?
Yeah, for sure. So basically, and I can tell you based on the larger systems that we've got currently that we're selling, so sort of a larger like industrial unit, we have to introduce the CO2 into the system basically by hand through a couple of different like knobs and valves. So and just doing that by hand only takes like less than a minute. You can literally watch the CO2 in this other unit that we've got fill up with as liquid. You dump it into the system, and then you make sure
Okay.
everything's pressurized properly. It takes less than a minute, and then it's ready to go. So it really doesn't take much time at all. And then when you're releasing the pressure, it's the same. I mean, it's just a little bit of CO2 that's in there. You can hear it happen, and then it's done. Um,
Okay.
yeah, really, really fast,
And
really
then
simple.
just because Mandy asked this question, because it is used to put birds to sleep for reptile feeders and stuff. Is there any danger to ourselves? I'm assuming the answer is no, but for CO2 poisoning at any point during this process, what safety stuff has been put in?
Yeah, I mean, so the amount of CO2 that's going to be in the system, if that CO2 escapes into the room, even in a small room, it's really not enough CO2 to be damaging to a human being. The more dangerous part is the actual CO2 canister, right? That's
Right.
because it's so much pressurized CO2. So it's not what's in the system that'll be dangerous. It's just the CO2 on its own.
Awesome.
Yeah. So that's not a.
That's what I figured the answer would be, but it's worth asking.
Yeah, 100%.
By the time we're done with you, we're going to ask every single possible question. All right. So, which doctor has a question? Says sounds amazing. We use essential oil to control mites in the rat and snake cages. So they have pet rats and pet snakes. So I was actually thinking about this eucalyptus oil. I'm like, yeah, you can do eucalyptus oil, of course. So that's another application is as basically a pesticide. And yeah, so which doctor, what kinds of essential oils do you use? And do you have any information about using it this way, Conal, or is that just one of the uses that are, used?
Yeah. Oh, well, I mean, so we're always sort of like taking into account new things that we learn that essential oil can be used for. And so we're constantly learning as well. But basically, anything that you can use an essential oil for that you already know the application for, this machine will just get you to that essential oil more quickly than having to like order it online or whatever. And you can make it. I think the coolest thing is too, since you can make it from your own thing. So if you got eucalyptus leaves dried, you could put that in there and make your own eucalyptus oil, then use it application for for whatever application you need to use it for. So yeah, I mean, it makes really viable essential oils that can be used for anything that you already use essential oils for, practically.
And you had said that the extraction, I don't know what it's called, the percentage of oil that comes out is higher in this unit than it is in steam distillation.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit more efficient. It's going to be similar. It's just an easier process, right? You don't have to like sit over the stove with a boiling pot and like, you know what I mean, do the actual steam distillation. This machine will just do it for you.
Right. Awesome.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So we have a question that was gonna come up. Medicinal oils. So can you make medicinal oils?
Sure. I mean, basically anything that is like the raw material you're putting in is just a dried herb, right? Or a plant or something like that. So basically, if you could picture anything that you can get any kind of oil out of, that would work in the machine for sure. So if it's specifically CBD that you're looking for, I think in states where it's legal or, not frowned upon, then yes, you can definitely use it for that. Basically, if you picture anything that's botanical material that you can dry, not necessarily like things like pumpkin, you don't want to do that kind of thing, won't really oil, but it's things that like dried leaves and flowers mostly and herbs that it's specifically designed for.
Right. And you had said that there's a whole bunch of stuff that hasn't been done that you know of, and we have opportunity once we have these units to share that, and you guys are going to have some sort of social media that's put together to share that. And you guys also have a cookbook already, which you're going to continue to add to. right?
Yep, all that stuff's on the website now. You can just go to the website and find the recipe book. So there's going to be cocktails on there, food, mocktails, any kind of thing that you can use these things for. And then we're working on a scent book as well. So different kind of things you can do. Like we've worked with.
I really want this to be a scratch and sniff.
Pretty exciting though.
Right. All right. So Steve has another statement. As some will be selling the essential oils and used for food products, will these have NSF certification to meet commercial food equipment industry standards for sanitation and electrical safety? That is a big question, Steve. You should have asked us that so that he could look these things up.
I imagine that if people are going to be using these machines to do like commercial things with this one, the specific one that we're talking about, the fountain, the Ousia fountain, is sort of going to be on you're talking about 2 ounces of raw material input, right? And then you're getting about right around a 5% yield. So we're talking about 5 grams of oil per run. So it's not a ton, right? This is like personal use kind of machine. We do have other machines that are larger. I saw somebody say something about the $8,000 machine. We do have a larger one that costs, 10 grand. It does about the same output, but what we're going to do is we're going to be able to sell those units anywhere between like 2 ounces and a pound of raw material input, depending on what you're going to use it for. So if it's going to be used for commercial, we would definitely be interested in getting them certified, right?
So I guess where this question comes from is cottage foods. I think more of a cottage foods stance, because there's a lot of places that don't. There's a lot of places that a lot of different. Each state has their own thing. Each county in each state has its own thing. Each city in each county has its own thing. So there's a lot of regulation that happens, and I know I haven't gotten straight answers on freeze dried stuff from California, and so I guess the question is like, I think, Steve, is that more what you're talking about? Is the whole question about can you legally sell something that you produce the oil from at your own home? I think that's what he's asking for. I don't know that we have the answer yet. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, I mean, I think that if that's something that we need to bug on me, that we need to do, depending on where the units are going to be landing, then we should definitely look into that. But I guess not. I don't know specifically from place to place.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And since we saw Don's thing of $8,000, it's not $8,000, not quite that much, but it's a lot. And so, Conal, can you go through what the Indiegogo is right now, which is kind of the sale version, to what you believe the retail the price will be after it's out in the world, and then you have a special surprise for people, right? Let's go through these 3 things.
Yeah. So basically, this unit, the Ousia fountain, which is what we're talking about, is going to probably end up being MSRP at around, I want to say like $1,200 or so. We've been selling the pre-sale unit at about $899. And what we're doing with the Indiegogo campaign, just trying to get this backlog or these orders in the queue, basically, is I've got probably, I think there are 8 units left that we've got available at $719, which is 20% off. There's I think 50 units available at 10% or 11% off. I forget, which is going to be like $799, right? And then we've got a buy one get one half off option on there too, so it's like $13.49 for 2 units. And that Indiegogo campaign will only be going for 3 more weeks, so that's the only time you're going to see those prices. But what I did find out, and this is going to be available just through our website outside of Indiegogo, but we've always got the payment plan option as well. So if you want to, you can place an order, put $100 down, and then it's 21 payments of $38 monthly until it's paid off. So that's a lot more approachable if you don't have, like the $800 or whatever to sponsor right up front. And I did get the news that we can do that through the Indiegogo campaign. So if you wanted to do a payment plan, you can basically, what they call it, a donation for the Indiegogo. You're going to be sponsoring the project, right? So you put $100 in to the Indiegogo, And then that will qualify as your down payment. And then you can begin making monthly payments through our website.
Right. So I guess if people want to do that, they should email you. Is that the best way to do it? And then you can make sure people get to the right place. And his email is down below. Yeah, his email's down below, and I'll also put it again in the chat. Oops.
There we go. Cool.
There you go.
Yeah, please hit me up, and I'd love to walk people through this.
Absolutely. And Verna popped on here. Evening, everyone. Wish I could do this right now, but too close to Christmas for me. Yeah, I understand that. But I hope you're feeling well. Verna is my moderator on here. She's not feeling good. All right, we had one thing up here. PJ is asking, how did you come up with this idea? Let's give a history.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah. Well, so it's a pretty small company still. We're still in we're a very small startup, pretty early on in the, I guess, progress of the company. But me and Nick and David are like the three sort of, I mean, there's other people that were founders too, but we all come from sort of extraction backgrounds and manufacturing backgrounds. And we sort of identified that there wasn't really an approachable way to do at-home CO2 extraction, period. The smallest machines were like 30-pound input material units that cost $250,000 to take up half of a room. And so we identified that there was a gap in the market that we could fill by making a smaller, more approachable unit that people can use, for commercial units or this personal unit that we've just developed. So it kind of came from that, just identifying that there was a gap in the market, and we wanted to help people out do their own thing. Man, everybody wants, DIY is a huge part of day-to-day life for a lot of people, and so this makes that possible for a lot of people too.
Right. All right. Steve has a good question here. Steve's just running the show here. It says Indiegogo sure makes it look like getting a product is a maybe. So go through your guarantee.
Yeah, a lot of times the way people approach these things is if they don't hit the huge goal, then the money kind of just goes back and the project doesn't move forward. But the way that we've opted in to the Indiegogo is whatever kind of contributions we get from people and orders, we will be fulfilling those orders, period. So any order that gets placed, we're going to build a unit, and it's going to get shipped out next March. Okay.
So that is a good answer. And I would say that probably other people on Indiegogo do it that way. And, you have some risk, and having some inherent risk for that much is a lot, but you guys they're already a company. They already have larger units in use. Other companies are using their product already. Mm-hmm. It's just bigger. So it's not like they're, four guys on the corner of the road trying to sell you something. They're actually in production, right?
Correct. Yep. And what we've sort of considered, what I've been saying, like, is the commercial unit, the one that we can do anywhere from 2 ounces up to a pound of input material, is sort of what we developed. They developed that technology in those units, and then we've perfected that technology and then shrunk it. So it's already been beta tested. It just had to go into a smaller box. And so that we've done. And this backlog is just going to get built all at once everything gets, once we're ready to roll. That's going to be the next couple of months. So.
Right. Well, that sounds wonderful. Thank you for bringing that up, Steve, because that is a good thing to know. Witch Doctor has a great question. Will you offer tutorials?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, we're going to be very approachable too. Like, the first round of these things is only going to be like 100 to 200 units. Right. And so we're going to be very approachable, contactable. We will absolutely do some tutorials for you. I mean, that's sort of like kind of what we've done with the video that you can find on our website. That's also on the Indiegogo page. Sort of just shows you too. It's really, really simple. And I think once you see it for the first time, you'll start to understand that it's going to be very, very simple for you. It's like touch a screen, walk away, come back later, and you've got oil. Like, that's practically going to be it. Very little learning. Yeah.
Right. Mandy, text them. Tell them to come on, ask questions.
Please do.
So the campaign ends on the 15th?
It'll be, I think officially it's the 17th, but we can like,
17th?
well, let's say 15th. That way, you know, we can light a fire on some people real quick.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. That's great. Good night, Dawn. Hey, Eric's here. Thank you for the super chat. Thank you, Eric. Welcome back. He usually comes in about this time. Mandy's gonna get you going here. Is it showing
I appreciate it so much.
There we go.
Yeah. And like I said, like I know you guys have already
awesome.
got my email on everything. I've probably got about another 5 minutes I can stay in here, but if you guys want to send me some stuff directly, 100% please reach out. I'd be happy to answer your question.
Right. Steve says great for people that already forage for medicinal stuff, and that's exactly it. I mean, you can get the oil from something that you can't get anywhere else, and I think that's a really good thing to do. So yeah, any last minute questions, go ahead and get in to Conal, and if you come up with questions later, you can put them in the comments here, or you can email him, and we'll make sure that he gets it to, you know, that I get it. I'll get it to him. I'm sure you're probably watching the comments too. Yeah. And then definitely share this video, share the other video we did. If you guys didn't see it, I'll put that link up here. This is our interview. Eric, you missed the whole presentation. He says what I miss. Eric, you have any questions about essential oils? He has an at-home extractor, and there you go. Ask questions. Witch doctor, you got questions? Shoot him. We have a couple minutes. Yeah, I think this is really getting people's brains going.
Sure. I am seeing some of these comments too. Like I can answer these quickly. So as far as mushrooms go, like you can run mushrooms through our system. The CO2 doesn't really work on mushrooms directly, so you have to use a co-solvent. That's something that we would need to probably coach. We've done that in this other unit. It just hasn't been done in the smaller unit yet. But basically, like what we would do is add a co-solvent of ethanol. It just changes the chemical composition of the CO2, and that's what will extract the actual mushroom. That's a little bit more of a scientific question, and it's a little bit deeper down the rabbit hole, but it's definitely possible. The essential oil that comes out is going to be just pure essential oil. So depending on what you're going to do with it, you would potentially need a carrier. So what we've done, like Katrina, you saw us in California, we had lavender oil, but it was in jojoba oil. So basically it was like a 1 to 10 ratio, 10% lavender essential oil, and then 90% jojoba oil. And it goes so far that way. So
when you're saying you have a 2 ounce product out of one running of the machine, that actually translates, if you're using a carrier oil, into a much larger volume.
Yeah, because it's really, really concentrated. The stuff that comes out is so strong. I know it sounds like it's not a lot when you talk about 5 grams worth of something that's an oil, but it's so potent and so powerful that it goes a long way.
Yeah. Big lavender farm near you. You need to get this.
We love running lavender. It's like, it smells so good, and it really, really reacts well. It gets really high yields. You can get a lot of product out of it.
Right. And again, you go through your deal again for the $100 down. And this is a limited time, right?
Yeah, I mean, we do a payment plan in general, so even after the Indiegogo is over, that'll be available. But I just did get word today or last night, I guess, that we have the ability to now, if you want to still support the Indiegogo and do a payment plan, you can do a $100 what they would call a donation to support the Indiegogo campaign, and then that $100 donation would go towards, that would be basically your down payment, and then you'd start making monthly payments subsequently. So that, go ahead.
The importance of the Indiegogo is once they get to 33% of their goal, then Indiegogo will advertise for them.
Yeah, so that's just kind of like a small goal. But yeah, we've got 3 weeks left of that. We still are going to make a hard push. I have a feeling that a lot of people are sort of waiting to the end You know what I mean? I expect that number to jump pretty quickly here in the next couple of weeks.
Right. Well, that's
And
good.
you got to be careful when you're running peppers, because the byproduct of dried peppers is capsaicin, which means you could kind of make your own like pepper spray. So we'll have to warn you about that too. Yeah.
Unless you're wanting to make pepper spray, maybe do that outside.
Always do that outside.
Yeah. That's hilarious. I mean, it's not funny. I'm sure it wasn't funny the first time someone figured that out.
Yeah, everybody's running out of the building. No, it's not that bad.
Yeah.
Well, good.
Yeah.
I have to get out of here, and I apologize, guys, but please let me know if you have any questions. Please feel free to email me, and if you ask questions directly to Katrina too, we're in touch quite a bit. So yeah, well, however we can help, we are available.
Yes, it does, Witch Doctor.
It does. It will go towards hitting the goal for sure. And what we would ask, if you're going to do that, and that's the path that you want to take, just let me or Katrina know that you've done that $100 donation, and then we will implement the payment plan and send you like invoices on the back end.
Right. So communication's good, and Conal's really good at communicating. I can't talk, but you can.
Monday. I feel you.
All right. Well, thank you so much for stopping in and giving people good information. So
yeah, no problem at all. I'm glad I could be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. All right.
Have a great night, everybody.
Go have fun.
Go to sleep.
Go to sleep.
All right, I appreciate you guys. Thank
you. Enjoy the night.
Bye.
Bye. All right. Thanks for the good questions, guys. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that you can do with this. And as my brain keeps on going, after the interview that we had, it was really, really, Eric's going to catch on the replay. That's good. It was really, really, it was a great interview. I'm not just saying that because I did it. Like, we talked a lot about a lot of things, and I think we had fun doing it. And I really think this has a lot of applications, and the more I'm thinking about things, the more applications it has. I mean, I stopped at a honey stand, which hopefully I'm going to have a little collaboration with this guy. But I stopped at a honey stand near my work and got some honey, and they had vanilla beans in the honey, and it was basically flavored honey because it has vanilla beans in it. Well, you could do that with oil and make actual oil and put a couple drops. It would probably only take a couple drops to do the whole thing, right? Yeah. So, yeah, Witch Doctor says those sound amazing. Comfrey, wild lettuce, ghost pipe. Yeah, exactly. And I asked him about if they were going to have a payment plan, and he looked into it and found out they can do it. So I know that's how a lot of us got our freeze dryers, because that, Harvest Right is a freeze dryer that is $250 down, and then you pay whatever whenever until it's paid off. It sounds like this one is $100 down and then has a monthly payment. So I think that makes it more affordable for a lot of people. And yeah, I'm excited about this. I mean, I was thinking about that. I was thinking about pesticides and, bath salts and, lotions and soaps and all of that. And then everything that you can eat. I mean, candies and cookies and all of that too. So awesome. Yeah, very awesome. So if you guys have this machine, or if you have this capability, what I want to know from you guys is what you would use it for. Just take a minute and say, I would love to use this for blank, and fill that in, because there's a lot that you would be able to use it for. Yeah. PJ says $38 a month, pretty good payment. Yep. Yeah, and the whole point is to make it affordable for people, because it isn't. When you look, I mean, for some people it is, some people it isn't. But whenever you have a big amount of money to spend, it's something that you don't really use a whole lot. It's something that you will use a lot when you get, but you don't. You have to budget for it. You would have to really want it. So, all right, Fulster Farm. Mandy says medicinal herbs for home medicine cabinet. All right, what about other people? I love this topic, and I think it's going to be awesome. Because they're really the first ones that are doing this. You don't have to take water out of things. So if you put in dry material, or if you put in dry material, you don't have to take the water out. So when you do steam distillation, you have to then separate the water from the oil. And plus it takes a long time and you have to be there for it. Yeah, rent and time to the homesteaders group members. Yeah, so that's something that Mandy was talking about earlier, I think in response to cost, is that they have a homesteader group in the area. And so that's something that you could do with something like this. If you have, big purchases to make. I know people do that with like chicken pluckers and stuff like that, where a conglomeration of people purchase something and then they can use it, they can all use it. I've heard of people doing that with apple presses too, like high quality, good apple presses. Yeah, for sure. And Witch Doctor says, I would make pain tinctures like comfrey, ghost pipe, and wild lettuce, but I would make so many oils. Yeah. So it definitely has a lot of applications. Yeah. Anybody else want to share what they would do? I feel like Fulster Farms and Witch Doctor are the two that are like, yes, do it. Yeah. All right. Somebody have babies. Who had babies up here? And thank you, Eric, for the super chats. Thank you. Somebody was talking about baby quail up here way at the beginning. Is it Joy? Maybe? And hello to everyone. Oh, Joy was saying sold 120 dispatched adult quail today to a friend that raises servals and Savannah cats. She wants a lot more, all sizes. Woohoo! You're rocking it. You are rocking it. That's awesome. That's awesome. And then I saw in here somebody had babies. I don't know. I'm scrolling, so maybe I'm missing things, but yeah, congratulations on the baby quail, whoever had the baby quail. Yeah. Everybody's saying hi. Okay. Yeah, Verna's not feeling well, so I'm hoping that she's feeling better soon. Seems like there's something going around in the Midwest out there, huh? All right, let's get back to current because I couldn't find it. JJ says, I won't be able to get one, but I referred it to someone who might, and they could use it for you. Yeah, exactly. And that's something that I talked about in the interview that I had with him, is that I don't think it would take that much time to recoup your cost if you like basically rent it out. Like you say, okay, bring me your herbs, I'll do it, and here, use your oil. I don't think it would take that long to recoup your costs. Yeah. Oh, Witch Doctor, how do you know this company? I met Conal and Nick were with the company at the National Heirloom Expo. So my booth that I had was right next to theirs. So I was next to them for 3 days. I heard the spiel so many times. I do talk to them so many times. It was windy. My display fell over when I was at the bathroom or at lunch, and came back and I'm like, oh, okay, thank you guys for picking up my display. Really nice guys. They know a whole lot of stuff. So yeah, I got on their mailing list because everybody has their mailing list there to get on, and I figured that was something interesting, but I wasn't quite sure. Like, okay, I need to know more about this, and I don't have time while I'm talking to other people to really delve into kind of what everything is. And so when he sent out the newsletter after like a week or two after the National Heirloom Expo event, I actually emailed him back. I'm like, my audience is somewhat small right now, but I bet we can help. I bet that some people would want this machine, and especially since, like Steve asked, is this a purchase or is this a donation? And it is a purchase. You can also donate, but if you buy it at that level, then it is a purchase, a real purchase. Then that I became more interested in, because I didn't want to lose that much money to, I didn't want to invest that much money into something that might not work out. And then I found out that, yes, they actually have larger machines. They're a real company. They have larger machines that are actually used by other companies. If you haven't watched the interview that we did, watch that. It has tons of information in it. Yeah. So yeah, does that make sense? That makes sense. I met them. They're nice guys. They have an interesting machine that makes sense, and looked into them online and all that, and decided to ask them to do, to do an interview on the channel and get involved, because I figured I knew several of you would be at least interested. Yeah. And Mandy says, sorry, I'm too excited about this. Yeah. Yeah. I put my money down. I figured that was it's a good thing. So there you go. I wasn't sure about it. And then after the interview, I'm like, or during the interview, actually, I said, yeah, I'm going to do this. And I did. So there you go. Verna, I don't know why PJ's saying Verna, but we hope she's doing well soon. You're too old to have a baby? JJ, why are we talking about having babies? Is the machine a baby? I don't know. Wasn't it they? I don't know what you guys are talking about. But there you go. Oh, did she talk about it on her live? She found out about it from me. Maybe that's what it is. Yeah. It's Halloween. Should be several hatches going on for those little feathered goblins. Absolutely. There we go. Yeah. So that was something that Verna was doing. I think, who else was doing that? Witch Doctor, you were doing it. Andy Rabbit was doing it. I don't know who else was doing it. Buster, maybe? You're just started hatching this evening. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Oh, and Dawn too. I think Dawn probably signed off. She wasn't interested in the topic, which is completely fine. Oh, and yeah, Verna had them pipping. Awesome. Awesome. Eric's here. Who are the most popular bees during Halloween? Boobies. Okay. Boo. Got it. Verna says she had 2 hatches. Yep. Oh, Joy. The answer is I don't like to. Having trouble figuring out how to dispatch day-old chicks humanely. Any ideas besides bloodless cull? I tried to do bloodless cull. Scissors. Just scissors is another option. Yeah. It's physically easy. It's mentally not as easy. So yeah. If you want to, so you're asking this because you're doing a lot, and this is something that I want to do at some point, but there is some inherent danger in, and that is to use CO2. CO2 is an accepted practice for reptile food. I'm going to try and say things without saying things here. It is an accepted practice for reptile food. The CO2 gas sinks, so you can look up your own setup. It also is known to be a very dangerous thing if you have it in a building, in a house, in something like that. So making sure that your valves aren't leaking, making sure that your tanks are not going to explode, making sure of all of that. There's a whole nother safety level to that, because these usually have, really big tanks and stuff like that. But I'm not the right source for that. The right source for that is the guy at QuailCon. What was his name? Oh my gosh. I have his card somewhere. You guys know who I'm talking about? the guy with all the different kinds of animals, because Zach gives him the older ones for reptiles and all that. So I would talk to someone who's already doing it and see how they do it, but that would be the fastest to do a bunch of them. And that, if I get to any amount with that, right now I'm just doing that for my friend, but if I get to that point with doing any amount, then that's what I will do, is a CO2 chamber. And again, safety is key with that. There you go. I halfway through that, I thought, I was like, oh yeah, she's selling these, not just one or two, because it's not fun. JJ says there's something in the air that is making people sneeze and then get sick. It's different than regular allergies or leaf mold. I haven't seen a whole lot of that here, but I know a lot of people in the middle of the country are getting sick, so there might be something new. Because we need it. No, we don't. We don't need something new. Yeah. So, Steve, I think she's asking. Yeah. So she's asking because she's making feeders for the not for the cats. Yeah. So, Joy, I would also ask the person that you're doing this for. Honestly, if you're not going to go CO2, scissors might be the best, the fastest. Ask her if it matters. Yeah, there you go. There you go. There's my answers. Yeah, witch doctor. That was very cool that he took the time to talk with us. Absolutely. I mean, they're already successful in the larger ones, and they're wanting to do the smaller ones, and they will do the smaller ones. It's happening. And having people understand it and having people be able to ask questions, I think, is a really, really good thing, because if people don't understand some of the things behind this, people aren't going to get it, and I think they're going to miss out on, if they're going to do something, it's going to miss out. So there you go. Oh, Eric makes sense. Yeah, he says, I like that he also offered payments. That's something that I told him would be a better, I don't know if they were going to do that anyway. It didn't come up in our other one, but that's something that I had told him would be a good idea, because it would be more approachable for people, and more realistic for people. Yeah. JJ's laughing at you, Eric. Yeah, that's what I figured, Joy. That's what I figured. I would look up how to do a CO2. And Mandy, if you have knowledge you can pass to Joy about that, go ahead. I just know it exists, and I know the dangers of it, and it's successful. So there you go. Oh, wait, I missed the first part. Steve says you can make vials of pure extract at your farmer's market stands. Hatching, we're talking about hatching? Yeah. Okay, Steve. Eric says, my wife asked if we have a baby girl. What name should we name her? Herbert? Oh boy. Dry ice. That's another method, but then you have to find a place that has dry ice. Yeah. That's for Joy. Joy, that was for you, dry ice. Yeah. We'll put them to sleep. Oh boy. If it would be a boy, it would be Humberto. JJ says nobody came to our neighborhood for Halloween. Things are too scary anymore, I guess. Halloween's tomorrow, JJ. Or does your town only do it during the weekend? Halloween's tomorrow. Hopefully you weren't sitting on your porch with a bowl of candy waiting for kids. You got the wrong day. That would be sad. Oh boy. Oh, Himbert. You funny. Yeah, Steve, I know that can be used. I don't know the method. Again, I have not done that. Yeah. Oh, you do it for the reptile food, the dry ice. Okay. But doesn't that still has to be done with ventilation, right? I'm guessing. Keith. Yes, Keith. I have his contact information somewhere. I don't know where. Yeah. Witch Doctor, if you have his contact information, can you text it to me at some point? Or Steve. Yeah. Thank you. I don't know why I wasn't remembering his name. Steve wants no part in being sick. Okay. Mandy says we do 30 to 50 at a time, and the box is so much easier, faster, and less traumatic for her. Throw a towel over them, and minutes later they are sleeping. Yep. Yeah. Oh, so you can't see the process? Yeah. Yep. Vials for essential oil, silly. I know. I was being an accomplice. Come on. Dry ice sold at many larger grocery stores. Kroger has it. Where do they sell it? I don't ever know that people use it for things except for Halloween. JJ, you have a kindred spirit here in Mandy. Day early. My people right there. Okay. Yeah, you're gonna have to talk with Witch Doctor about that. Yeah, and if you're Joy, are you part of the Friends of Sow and Tare Facebook group? I don't remember if you do the Facebook stuff. Because Witch Doctor, if you can put a link, maybe, I don't know if Facebook will like it. Hide it somewhere. We can talk about that using code words on that group. There we go. Folster Farm says you can use baking soda and vinegar, I think, to make a gas to euthanize as well. I would like to use something that is tried and true and fast. And like with CO2, they go to sleep. I mean, it's accepted. It's one of the accepted methods. And there are accepted methods within that industry, and there are methods that are not accepted. Like freezing is not an acceptable method. That is not a nice. You're not being nice to the birds then. Yeah. $1.98 a pound. Okay. Oh, and you're saying it's typically a large white box near the front of the store. I'll have to pay attention next time I go in. I don't go to the grocery store a whole lot. When I do, it's just like, I need this one thing. I'm out. I call myself a guy shopper. I'm like, I need one thing. I don't need to browse. Unless it's a nursery or hardware store. Come on. Yeah. And sometimes it's in a deep freezer. Ask for customer service. Okay, that's good to know. Okay, there's your method, Joy. There's your method. Witch Doctor, I think you can, as long as it's like not using trigger words. Yeah. Cycle word says hi. Hi. Yeah, the dry ice eats all the oxygen. That's, yeah. All right. You can't remember if you joined it, Joy? Right. So that's the catch point, is what it is. Dry ice CO2? I don't remember what it is. Is it frozen CO2? Somebody tell me. Thank you, witch doctor. Yeah, so like I said, there's approved methods and there's not approved methods. So you don't want to do something that's not approved because it's I'm sure there's methods out there that should be approved that aren't, or maybe just hasn't gone through the process yet. But then there are some methods that they're like, no, that's wrong. Don't do that. So, yeah. Okay. Wow, that went dark. Yeah, okay. That's what I was thinking. That's what I was thinking. It's so funny that you can have a solid gas, right? We think of CO2 as a gas only, but you know, in the extraction process for the machine that we're talking about has you know, it goes into a liquid, and the dry ice is solid. It's just interesting to think about. Your son does the larger birds? Okay. Yeah. But if you had a box, you could do it faster if you had a bunch of them. But yeah. The other thing to think about, which I know I have no knowledge on, I just have enough knowledge to ask the question, is thank you, witch doctor. To ask the question, once you do this to the birds, does anything happen to the thing that eats it? And the answer with CO2 is no. Yeah. So, who has something happy to share? I think we got Joy on the right path. I'm glad we were able to help you, Joy. And congratulations on that business, because I think that's wonderful. Yeah, for sure. Who has something fun to share? Anybody have any fun Halloween plans? I do not. I do have a pumpkin carving video tomorrow that some may find interesting. I had some help from my girls. And Mandy says we use CO2 for falcon customers. Hey, PJ has something fun. I have a new heifer calf. Awesome. Awesome. Oh, okay. I posted something on my privates one. How does a spider get pregnant? Oh my gosh. Mandy. So we were talking about tarantulas, right? We were talking about tarantulas, and tarantulas are big spiders. And it's Halloween time. They're out and about. October is usually their month, and it's a time when they're out. And the boys have hooks on the bottoms of their front feet or front legs, and those are to hold the fangs of the lady and push her up. And they actually have they make what's called sperm webs, and I actually had to look up what the heck I was seeing. I was out on the site one day and there was just all of these everywhere. I'm like, what the heck is this? And it took me a while to look up, but they're called sperm webs, and they literally have webs of sperm that they deposit on the ground, and they take some of it and they put it in a pocket in their foot, you know, because that's cool. And when they lift the lady up, then they put the stuff from their foot. There you go. Real romantic. Thanks, Mandy. Oh. All right. Steve wants to know if the little girl was birthed or bought. He said bought. Congrats anyway. You were more excited to have a birth on the farm, weren't you? Oh boy. Eric's going to church for Halloween. That is okay. That is okay. You're wondering that too. Now you know. I don't know about other ones, but I know tarantulas are like that. Oh, always good for a laugh. Always good for a laugh. PJ says, my older heifers hopefully are bred for next year. Awesome. Yep. Yep, you know it. Okay, oops. All right, are you going to read your rabbits again? My ladies have 1 and 2 more days to prove to me they are not pregnant. So we put the nest box in on day 26. Previous rabbits they usually actually birth around day 30, 31, 32, 30, kind of is where they usually, where they usually have their babies. And so then if they haven't had them by day 35, that's when you rebreed. So, they don't have babies yet. I would have told you that by now. However, Rigatoni, her day 35 is tomorrow, and Ravioli's day 5 is the 1st. So we're going to wait a couple days. We'll probably wait a couple days after that, so that I can be away for Thanksgiving. We're going to have people watch animals, so that, we don't have babies happening during Thanksgiving, or have to put nest boxes in, or, all of that. We want to avoid that, but we'll probably wait a couple more days. So probably later I'm guessing they're not pregnant. I really, really thought they were, especially with Rigatoni's attitude problem. But, there we go. There we go. Brings new meaning to Footloose, right? Oh my gosh. Oh, Mandy just says, we just bought an Angus bull calf. It took me 50 plus years, but I'm officially a cowgirl. Is it a cow? Because you said bull. Are you a bull girl? Congratulations. Yep. Footsie. Mm-hmm. Yep. You named him Steve? That's hilarious. Wait a minute, Steve says. I gotta put the jokes on. I mean, Eric is encouraging, right? Oh my gosh. Yeah. What other Halloween-y things can we talk about? There's bats. I've trapped bats before. I have my rabies shots. Do you have your rabies shots? Fun fact, rabies is deadly. And most insurance companies, you can get the rabies vaccine for free. You're included in your payment. It's a 3-shot series, 5 weeks, I think. 5 weeks, 3 shots. I think that's what it is. And thank you, Mandy. And it prevents you from dying if you get bit by stuff. You can be exposed to rabies at a level that is safe in various scats and stuff like that. I just recently had my booster. It lasted from 2008. Is either 2008 or 2009 when I got my series for the first time. No, I will get to that, Mandy. And there's a you do every 2 years. So once you get your series, it's a 3-shot series. Every 2 years you get you check your titers. They check your blood count and say, hey, are you still immune? And I love that they use the word immune, because you get something that says you're immune. And if you're good at a certain level, then you're good. If it drops below a certain level, then you just get a booster. So I just got a booster this year, and it took that long to drop below that level. But yeah, I've done studies with bats and all of that, and they're very cool. They're very cool. So Eric says pumpkins. Yes, pumpkins are Halloweeny. And Mandy asked, do rabies shots hurt? No. So the old way of doing it is not having a vaccine. And when people got bit by something, rabid, then they would put a big needle into the stomach, and that was supposed to really hurt. You still would get, if you knew you were bit by a rabid animal, you would still go to the hospital, and I would, and say, listen, I have my rabies shots, but I would like another, preventative, because if you get it, it's like that's much chance that you're going to live. And so like it's highly deadly. So the shots are just a shot now. I didn't have any effects, and one of my friends felt flu-like symptoms when she got hers, but I haven't heard anything past that. It doesn't physically hurt. It's just a shot. So yeah, so I encourage you, if you are around these things, if you have bats, in your house or around the area, it's a good idea to, if you do vaccines, it's a good idea to do that, especially if your insurance covers it. And if they ask you, say, hey, you can even tell them you're volunteering doing something, and then actually volunteer. You can actually volunteer then and handle bats. Anyway, that's a good question. Oops. Eric wants to know if I've seen a ghost before. Yes, I have. And says, I've seen 2 ghosts 2 separate times. Let me see the more comments, and I'll come back to it. Yeah. JJ says not allowed to get vaccines anymore. Oh. Yeah. Yeah. Well, don't get bit by a rabbit animal and you'll be good. It doesn't work that way, Steve. It doesn't work that way. Oh. No, PJ. Oh, bats are so cool. They are so cool. They have one of the fastest healing tissues in the mammal world. It might be the fastest, and that is the wing tissue. So we were doing getting DNA from these animals, and you use a punch. So you basically have a sanitized cutting board. You put out the wing, and you do a punch. It was about that big, a round punch. You get that tissue, you put it in a sterile thing, and then they're doing a DNA, the population study and DNA analysis that just for some other things, and that grows closed very quickly. And if you think about it, they have to, because they have, like, they're flying, right? They can't have too many holes in their wings. But they're very cool. If you can hear them, so they send out a signal, echolocation. They send out a signal, and they can see with that signal. And our joke when we catch them in mist nets, which is kind of like bird netting but thinner. Like it's much thinner, and they have they can see it if they're paying attention. So the joke is that we catch the stupid ones. But what they do is they send out this sound, and it bounces back to them. So that's why some bats have these wrinkly faces, or they have these really big ears that curve, and their faces are like an auditorium. So you know how you have like the perfect seat in the auditorium, you can hear everything perfectly. That's how their faces are designed, so that the sound comes back to them. They can tell what direction, how far, all of that stuff from the timing and from, where they hear it. And so they're very, very cool. But you can hear some of them. And if you hear the chip, 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 you guys heard that? Like it's little high pitch kind of chirp, chirp, chirp. If it's slow, and then really, really fast at the end, that's called a feeding buzz. So they'll actually fly around, they'll kind of lock their radar on and say, hey, I'm going after that. How far away is it? How far away is it? And as they approach, they send out faster and faster signals, so they get higher accuracy coming back. So if you hear that, you're hearing a bat. Now, you're probably not going to hear a bat right now because it's going into winter and they hibernate. Or go through torpor. Torpor is similar to hibernation, but they can wake up on warm nights and stuff like that. Yeah, there you go. There you go. The witch doctor wants bat houses. Felt one, not seen one. We actually counted bats at a bridge. There was over 68,000 of them. There was a team of us. We had a flashlight on chin, looking straight up, and we would count. And the person behind us would have, we would alternate, they would have the tally, and they would be tallying as we're counting, and we're not, staring up at them. And it was so neat because right at dusk, like when it's starting to get dark, the chatter, like they're talking during the day too, but the chatter just picked up, and they're like, what are you going to do today? I'm going to this. Are you going to go to dinner with me? Or what are you doing? Like they're just talking, whatever bats talk about. I don't know. I'm making it up. And they would just talk. And when they're ready to fly, they're like started climbing over each other. And then finally one go and another one goes. And then like a bunch of them go. And here's a fun fact. They pee when they take off, so if you're under them, you get peed on. But we had one bat land on someone's ear. It just happened to be there. Like it wasn't attacking anybody or anything like that. But there was a hawk there that I'm sure is there every night and getting dinner. So that was pretty cool. Anyway, there's one bat story for you. Yeah. Witch doctor says ghosts daily. Yep. Oh, felt one on the ghost, not the bat. Got it. JJ says, when I was young, I used bats for target practice. Those suckers are fast. Oh my gosh. But they eat bugs. This is a mouse. I keep raising it up, but it's a mouse. Because my trackpad doesn't work and I'm too cheap to get a new computer. Joy loves bats. Oh, you did get hit by it. Got hit by a bat at dusk when I was a kid. Scared me to death. Oh my gosh. Yeah, you've heard that chirping sound? Didn't know it was bats. Absolutely. So the other thing that will do that, so if it starts with a chip, 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 that's a bat. Barn owls, the males, will make a call, and it's very obviously going in a circle, and it'll be like an even chip. And it's a territorial call when they fly in a circle. So if you hear that, that is usually, I think that's always male. Always male? Someone correct me. Barn owl. So also known as ghost owl because they have that flat white face. Yeah. Hit you right in the eye. It was squishy and scary. Oh my gosh. I've had them fly over me. Like if you lay down on a picnic table with no trees around, or like you're the highest thing, then it's an awesome thing because your body heat and your breath attracts in bugs, which attracts in the bats, and the bats are just flying above you eating the bugs. It's pretty cool. Yeah, you hear the chirping sound too, but many people don't. Yeah, I think that's hearing in general, but also age. As you get older, the higher pitches go away. Yeah. Big fan of Batman. Yes, it counts. Yes, it counts. Oh, yeah. Maybe not, Eric. Bats eat bugs, so Batman would eat Spider-Man and Ant-Man. I don't know about that one. Picked up a bat in the park with bare hands. He was saving him. Do not do that unless you have a rabies shot. And by rabies shot, I mean the whole series. So yeah, I would go get your vaccines and do that. And even then, put something between you and the bat, because rabies is not something to challenge. Yeah. But he's still with us, so that's okay, right? Yeah. So awesome. Okay, so you guys want to hear a ghost story? I was on a trip. It was a school trip from college. So I went to school in Iowa, and we had over Easter break, we had the Southwest trip. So we took a bus out, New Mexico, Colorado. I think that's as far as we went, and we had it was a educational trip. And so we had a geologist, a zoologist, and a botanist on the trip. And so we went to different road cuts on the way. We saw dinosaur prints. We saw, all sorts of stuff. And it is a awesome, it was a good experience. And we learned a lot. But, we're staying at places along the way. And if you've not stayed at Ghost Ranch, that's a neat place to stay at. Also where City Slickers was filmed, the movie, but this doesn't happen there. But yeah, so we're in, I don't know, some random hotel, and I was in the lobby with two other people, and I could see down the hallway. The person next to me could see to the door, which was a glass door that goes out of the building from the hallway, and the third person just could see us. And I saw, we were just talking, we were just hanging out talking, and I saw a lady in a white dress go across the hallway that was a ghost. And the doors, how in hotels the doors usually aren't facing across from each other, they're usually like this. Yeah, it was through a wall at some point. And so I saw her, and the person like on this side saw a reflection. And we both immediately locked eyes and went, "What?" And the third person was like, "What did you guys see?" So saw that there. I've had some other stories. Let's see. I mean, that was just, we saw her and that was the end. Like nothing happened. We had our auditorium in high school was haunted. There had been, I think, 2 known deaths. And there was one play that we put on, and I was a prop master for, and our director let us use this really, really expensive old teapot for it. And we would put all the props back in what we called the ice cave. It was called the ice cave because it was always cold. Now, it wasn't always cold because it was made out of cement. But it was always cold, and we were super, super careful with this. There was 3 of us there, and we put him in there. We put it way back on the shelf. There's no way anything was going to fall or anything like that. There's no other doors or anything. And so we go back to get more stuff, and we come back in, and my friend has her hand on the door to open it, and we hear a crash. And that teapot, we open the door, no one's there, teapot on the floor, and 100 pieces. And it was super freaky, super scary. And so it was time to get out of there. And we closed the door, and we all kind of huddled together, and we went to go get our backpacks in that wing, and the lights went out. No, I was facing the light switch and did not see anything, and the lights went out. We huddled together and scooted over there. The light switch had been turned off, and there was no, I did not see anybody turn it off, and I was looking at it when it turned off. So we turned it back on, and the other 2 girls ran across the stage the other way, because you couldn't get out that way. You had to go across the stage into the other wing, then out the door. And I turned off that light and ran my butt across the stage. There's some other things that happened in there. The director never yelled at us or reprimanded us in any way. I think she knew there was something there. Yeah, there's other stories in there, but I'll leave that for another time. Gotta have some more things to say, right? Here we go. All right. So there's a couple stories for you. Yeah, Eric, I don't know origin stories, right? Oh no. Joy says my sister got one caught. We're talking about bats in her beehive hairdo after watching the movie The Birds when she was walking home. Freaked her out. She screamed all the way home. I bet. I'm not a scary movie person. But my friend and I growing up, my best friend and I growing up, we got on the scary movie kick. And the scary movies we just watched, at her house for no like we didn't like scary movies and we were watching them. I don't know why. But one time we watched The Birds and then we went for a walk up to which is a several mile walk, up to the store to get ice cream. And of course, all the birds were in the fields, right? In the farm fields. And I kept on pointing that out to her and she did not appreciate that. It was pretty funny. Anyway, there you go. Eric, thank you for the super sticker. Thank you. And JJ's laughing at Joy. Yep. Oh, Steve says I thought we were going to get a joke. A zoologist, geologist, and botanist on a bus. I don't know if she's watching. Probably not tonight, but she might watch later. I have a friend who was very gullible. I think she's become less gullible over time. But she was very gullible on that trip. And we were telling her about jackalopes. And if you don't know about jackalopes, it's okay. It's a made-up critter that's taxidermied with real animals. A antelope horns, which is pronghorn, and like jackrabbit body. Sometimes they have pheasant feet and pheasant wings. Sometimes they don't. You never know. Anyway, we were convincing her, and we had convinced her of several things that weren't true, and she, caught on to us. And so we were in this kind of cafeteria style setting for lunch one day, and she's like, you guys are messing with me. You're messing with me. And so she turned around, she asked the zoology professor, they're trying to tell me about jackalopes. And of course, he had been hearing this the whole trip. He had been hearing this. He was sitting right behind. I'm sure he was just laughing his butt off hearing this. So he proceeded to tell her all about their natural history and how they live and how they grow up and what they eat and where they. It was hilarious. And she believed it all the way through the trip. And we had to tell her at the end it wasn't true. So there you go. There you go. Yeah, JJ, I should have done spooky stories with a flashlight. Yeah. Yep. Eric says, I saw a ghost when I was 17 at art college, was walking across the apartment complex through a walkway, and I saw a white figure skating across in front of me. When I turned to look, it should have hit a wall. Yep. In the dorms that I lived in, there was some creepy presence in the basement where the laundry was. It always creeped me out to go there. JJ says, I've lived in a haunted house for a few years. When young, hated it. I have a friend that moved into a haunted house, and she didn't like it until she realized it was just an older couple, and they would sit at the dining room table, and like they were just living on another plane. They were home, that's fine. She's home, that's fine. And they didn't like do anything. It was just they were existing in different planes. So there you go. Bear Squatch. Did you see something that looked like something else? Okay, so Mandy, she says jackalopes are real. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. So are snipes, dang it. Snipe is actually a type of bird. It's an actual type of bird. I have seen it. It's a real thing. However, the snipe that you are talking about, there's many varieties. The one that we grew up with smelled like toothpaste and threw rocks from trees. What did your kind of snipe do? hopefully people understand that there is a snipe, but that's not what they do. Eric says, second time I was home, sleeping downstairs, and my younger sister came down all scared. She saw a ghost, had licked her foot. Ew. Oh, later at night, wake up and something pushing on my chest. Yeah, also heard voices at night. Oh, when you were convulsing? Wow. Yeah, Eric says his apartment was haunted. Wow. Okay, you've hunted. I'm guessing you're talking about snipes, not ghosts, because we're kind of going back and forth. You hunted them. They're like the size of a quail. Okay, they're a little bigger. Aren't they like that big? Maybe. Yeah. Oh, hunt. We don't know which one you're hunting. Got it. Oh, yes. Apparently my snipes were boring or had bad hygiene. Oh. And Steve says I've been snipe hunting. Not the flying snipes. Yeah, so we had my dad was a Boy Scout leader for a time, and we had Boy Scouts over one night to my brother's troop. They stayed the night, and we went snipe hunting in the backyard. And one of the dads, he caught one. You catch them in pillowcases because that's what you do. He caught one, and he was wrestling around and all of that, and it was in there, and it was so awesome, and it got away. But he caught one. Yeah, make it interesting for the boys. Yeah, Jay said, totally believe there's a world we cannot see, but don't want to live with them. Yep. You were gullible too. Yeah. No, I definitely feel things, and that's something that you have an intuition. You have it's in you. It's in your gut. I don't know where it is. It's actually in your gut. But hey, how many stories have you guys heard where it starts with, I knew I shouldn't have gone in there. I had a bad feeling about it, but I did it anyway. How many of those stories are there, right? I mean, I really believe that we all need to pay attention to that, because that's your body picking up on signs that your brain isn't, or your brain isn't making it available to you, to your conscious self. That's your unconscious abilities. You're not conscious of those abilities. You are picking up something. It's the same thing if you're in a restaurant and somebody's staring at you, you turn around. You know it, right? I mean, how many people have had that happen to them where you turn around and someone's staring at you? I have the same feeling in the field where there's animals, and that's actually a technique that several wildlife biologists use to find animals. Is you stay in one spot, and you actually do the visual search too, but you stay in one spot and you feel for them, and you say, okay, well, something's watching me over there, and you look and you look and you look, and you might be able to see them with field glasses, with binoculars, or you may go over there and find prints. So it is a real thing. And these are some examples I can see. Like, not everybody's going to believe to the depth of that, but if you spend any amount of time in nature by yourself, truly by yourself, not with technology, not with podcasts in your ear, not with another person that's being quiet. If you're truly by yourself, you do pick up on the rest of the world around you. And I did have that experience up at Heart Mountain National Antelope Refuge in southeastern Oregon when I did my undergraduate work there. I definitely had feelings. I had some things happen as well. I mean, there was one time, and I mean, this is what I say: if you have a feeling, react to it. When I take people hiking, or when I go hiking with people, I always tell them, if you feel you should not take a single step further, don't. We will turn around. I'm not going to laugh at you. You might be picking up on something that I'm not. And I really, truly believe that. And I think we would have a lot better lives if people were more in tune with that and pay attention to that little voice. Because So here's a story I'll tell. When I was at Heart Mountain, I was in the field by myself, 30 miles away from any other living person. Like, it was by myself. And it's very remote, and I am, thank goodness my truck was over a hill and not near the road. But I could see the main road that goes through the refuge. I could see that it's a dirt road. It was a ways off, not too far though, like maybe a couple hundred feet. And so I'm in sagebrush. I'm wearing a sage-colored shirt, a sage-colored hat, pretty well camouflaged. I mean, I'm going out there to look for animals and doing a bio inventory of 6,000 acres of Wyoming big sagebrush. So there you go. There's my biology coming in. But something told me to duck down. And nothing in nature is going to tell you that. If you have a mountain lion, you're going to want to be big. You're going to want to be big. Here I am. Go away. Nothing in nature is going to tell you to duck down, except a person. And so I'm squatting down there in the sagebrush going, okay, I feel really stupid. What am I doing? What am I waiting for? But I paid attention to my intuition, and that was, I believe, very important, because I don't know how long I was sitting there. It was several minutes, and a truck comes by. It had a ATV on the back, and I recognized it as soon as I saw it, because it is a truck that had been on the news. This guy had killed a couple of wildlife officers in Nevada, which is a state right next to Oregon. And he was coming through the refuge. Now, if I was up and about by there, would he have stopped? I don't know. But I waited a whole heck of a lot more time before I stood up, and a whole heck of a lot more time after that before calling it in, because I am positive he has, was scanning the airwaves. And at the time, and probably still at the time, the airwaves are not secure up there, and neither are cell phones. I don't know the current timing I don't know the current condition of this up there. But when I was there, if you were talking on a cell phone, you may actually end up talking with someone on a radio. Or your mom that you called on the cell phone might be talking to someone on a radio and not you. Like, it was a very weird stuff up there. And that was just how the repeaters were. And I don't know if it's different because we have all these different, 4G, 5G stuff going on now. But I finally called it in, and we all had big radios, the ones with 9 batteries, those big ones. I called it in, and I think it was a few days later, he got caught. But if I didn't listen to that stupid thing that said, squat down, why? If I questioned that, then that definitely would have been, or could have been, a really bad situation. So there you go. Pay attention to your gut in all things. If you give you the heebie-jeebies, get out of there. Yeah. All right, let's scroll up. We're going all over the place today. Oh. Folster Farms on my wedding day. I knew I shouldn't have gone there. I have stories about that. 6 cents, 100%. Yep. Ed says, I've been quoted in a ghost book. I worked at an old Coast Guard station, supposedly haunted. I never saw anything, but when I locked up, I would say, it's your shift, guys. Take care of the place. It can't hurt, right? Can't hurt. Folster says, when I sit still in the campground, there is an owl who comes over to sit with me on a regular basis. That's awesome. Yeah, and Witch Doctor says that's cool, Ed. Yep. And yeah, I listen to my intuition for sure. And I always do. Yeah. How scary. Yeah. And well, that's just it is, I was sitting there for a long time going, why am I doing this? But something told me to do that. And so I followed my own instructions. Yeah. And it could be Witch Doctor. Yeah. Ed says they had been dead staff and shipwreck victims stored in the basement until they could be moved back in the 1800s. Oh. Yeah. I don't want to mess with that. Yeah, Fulster Farm says gut instincts are the real thing if you pay attention. I think women tend to be a little more in tune than guys because we need to hide from predators more often. It could, I think there is it's because the guys don't listen. I do think now in this day and age people still have gender roles, but it's much more meshed together, much more, oh, we'll do this, I'll do this, you do that, or whatever. It's much more sharing and not as clearly defined as historic times. But I do think that throughout time, it was usually the women who were the hunters and gatherers. It was usually the men that were not the hunters. It was usually the women who were the gatherers and the men that were the hunters. Not always. Absolutely not always. And both genders did the same things, but that's the typical. And I kind of relate to that. Like, women out there, have you ever had a guy ask you where something was in the refrigerator? Because it was right in front of them and they didn't see it. I think that's an actual biological thing. I don't think that's because they couldn't find it. I think that the brains are wired differently, and it's probably because historically, somewhere in our genes, we are the gatherers, and we know, imagine if you had to gather things for your food. You would know all the plants, all of them, and all of them had a use, likely. Or to stay away from that one. That one does good things. Oh, I only need this when this happens. Is Dan on? Yeah, so that's what I think, and what I think is not fact, but I see a lot of things where it kind of is along the traditional gender lines that you have typical talents among the male and female persona. So yeah, that's good. JJ says it's always good to tuck your ponytail into your shirt if you're hiking during owl nesting time. Yep, I almost got scalped. Owl thought my hair was an animal tail. That is hilarious. I might not have been hilarious at the time, but it's hilarious today. He's close by. Man vision. Yes. Yes, Joy. Yeah, but I think that is why, women have some things that's like, why can't you see that? Why didn't you do that? Why can't you see that this needs to be done? And I think a lot of it is biological. However, I think it's also trainable. So no excuses. Anyway. Yeah. Oh, we have a joke. We're switching topics. We're going for a different topic. Think of the next topic, guys. All right. Eric says, why did the skeleton go to the party alone? Because he had nobody to bring with him, and he had a bone to pick with somebody. Yeah. Is that why women live longer? Ed, I think there's many reasons. Just the fact that, like, car insurance companies, if you're male and it's your teenager into your early 20s, your insurance is going to be a little higher. If you're, male and you're between those ages of like 16 and 24, you're a little more likely to have a rattlesnake bite on your hand. There might be multiple reasons, Ed. And yeah, Mandy, same. I'm always inventorying the plants when I'm in the woods. Absolutely. And I always want to know what I can eat or I can use. And it's so funny because like I've been in the field with clients before and they know I'm a wildlife biologist, and then I start telling them they can eat things because that's just the type of person I am. And I've had many a client, I don't know many, but just go, I can eat this? Like, yeah, you can eat that. And they were like, okay. I'm like, why are you trusting me? No, but no, they should trust me. I know what I'm talking about. But it is it is something that I definitely pay attention to, you know, where to get something later. Yeah, for sure. Oh boy. Mandy, like your joke. And JJ says, as a woman, I always lose the truck in the parking lot, and hubby always knows exactly where it is. There you go. There you go. He knows where he left that prey. Aw. I like to hike, and I don't hike enough anymore. I'm doing too many things right now. I love to hike. It's so much fun. Yeah. Yeah. It's a lot. Yeah. So that's another thing, Mandy. Isn't it amazing how much security there is in knowing you will never starve in the field or woods? Absolutely. And when you learn multiple environments, like I grew up in the high desert, food is a little more scarce in the high desert. I mean, there are some plants you can eat. Sometimes there's onions with why, but sometimes there's onions. And then there's a lot of animals. Honestly, in the high desert, there's a lot of animals. So you have to know that knowledge too. But when you have a lot of different plant community knowledge, and not just where you are, I think you pick up on what potentially could eat. Because I know in my line of work, I write plant lists all the time of what is out on a site, and even though I'm a wildlife person, I write things down, and if I don't know what it is, I'll take a picture, I'll bring it in, or look it up, or ask someone what it is, and then usually once I know what it is, I'll kind of keep that in mind, and for next time, I kind of catalog that. But if it's something that I can eat, I guarantee you I will know what it is next time. Yeah. There we go, witch doctor. Loving people, trusting blindly. Haven't lost a victim yet. Yep. Yep. Oh boy. Eric says, what do you call a crazy ghost? Bananas. Thank you, Eric, for another super sticker. Thank you, thank you. Yeah, JJ says, I'm happy to survive in a house with a garden and hike in the woods. Would never want to survive in the woods. And that is completely good. That's completely fine. And hopefully you never will have to. But you have the knowledge. Yeah. Oh no. Full Store Farm says, poor Dan got stung in the eyelid by a wasp while we were way back in the woods, and I chewed up plantain. Oh, does this happen again, or are you telling an old story? Because Dan needs to learn otherwise. Chewed up plantain and plastered it on him. Swelling was gone in about 20 minutes. Yes. If you don't know plantain, not the banana relative, but the grassy, leafy thing, there are many different varieties of that, and at least throughout the United States and in Europe, it's in most places, in the United States. Like most places, it's just a weed. It's from Eurasia. We say Eurasia, but that's like half the world, right? Europe and Asia. And it is a magical medicinal plant. Yes, learn it if you don't know it. And again, it looks different in different areas, but they always have like, here's the leaf. It always has lines going from the bottom of the plant up to the leaf. They have basal leaves on the bottom, and then a spike with flowers. And that spike with flowers looks different on different varieties as well. So, oh, Mandy's laughing again. The woods are scary at night. Have you been in the woods at night? Because not all woods are scary at night. Sometimes they are alive. They're alive. A lot of times there's so much better not better. There's so much more wildlife out at night. This is especially true, maybe not woods, I don't know. But this is especially true in deserts and high deserts. There's so much more that's active at night than in the daytime. My dad has some wildlife cameras in the backyard from him. He just got a badger a couple months ago on there. Badger's my animal, if you guys didn't know. These are the wrong kind, but American badger is what I studied for my master's. And characterized their reproductive habitat in Central California grasslands. But they are awesome, and we never saw badger sign, never had foxes either, and now he's having foxes and badgers in the backyard. And there was a wolf that went through that area on the other side of the hill. It was in the news, and so I'm like, oh, maybe he's going to get a wolf on the camera. That would be cool, because we have random wolves going in places now. I don't know. A lot of people here are from Midwest, but we had a wolf. Eric, did you hear about that wolf? I don't remember what the name was, what the number was. It had a purple collar. It went down, I want to say it went all the way to San Luis Obispo from Oregon. It went down the Sierras, crossed, I don't remember where it crossed the valley, but crossed the valley somewhere in ag land, and then it went like down, then back up, and I think it went all the way to San Luis Obispo, but I think it got hit by a car. But they definitely travel for a while. But yeah, Eric, let me know if you heard about that. That was last year before, something like that. Was it the plantain or the spit that did the trick? There's some validity in that, but it's a plantain. But there are enzymes in your spit that do some stuff. Look it up. I don't have enough knowledge in that area, but you can look that up. Yeah, Dan, stop putting your eye on the wasp hole. I'm gonna guess it was a retold story. I'm hoping it is, because yeah, Dan, you need goggles otherwise. Yeah, so same thing with tobacco. Yeah. Oh boy, dandelions are so valuable. Yep. I don't use them for anything. I've pulled everything except for I think 4 of them in the yard, which just have tap roots down all the way through the planet, I think. But my animals like them, so I do that. I've eaten them a little, but I haven't really gotten into that. It's not yummy. And so far I don't have the issues, but I should probably make more use of them. Yeah. There we go. Jesus did spit in some dirt for the eyes. In Vietnam. Okay. And Big Bear. In Vietnam. There's wolves in Vietnam? Okay. Oh, or are we talking about woods? We were talking about woods. And Fulster Farm says, woods are alive and vibrant at night, and amazing theater. Absolutely. That's what I'm saying. And in some parts of the Midwest, there is a fungus that glows. And there's also glowy bug butts, too, that are called fireflies. And they are ridiculously fun. Have you guys seen the glowing, it's called bioinflorescence. Have you guys seen the bioinflorescent fungus? I've seen it once. In Iowa or Illinois? I think it was Iowa. Yeah. Eric says, I've seen too many scary movies of the woods. You guys remember the movie The Blair Witch Project? Yeah, I watched that movie. It's not great film, but it's, gets you thinking. And that was a summer where I was working on a trail crew up in wilderness area, and there was somebody with the Forest Service that needed 2 people to go with him somewhere. And so they're like, you and you. Okay. So me and 2 guys. So if you remember the story, lady and 2 guys, went to this place that I didn't know how to get there. I didn't know what it is. We don't know the trails. We don't know anything. Like neither one of us that came from the trail crew knew anything about where we were going or what we were doing. I mean, we knew we were clearing trail, but we didn't know, anything other than that. And there was snow on the on the pathway, and the pathways marked, the trails marked with carrions, which sounds a lot like a dead animal. It's not. It is piles of rocks. If you remember the movie, that means something. And literally we were in places that we couldn't see the trail because it was snow, and we're like, oh, there's a pile of rocks, we're going there. There's the next pile of rocks, we're going there. And we were clearing the trail before the snow melted. And so there, if you've seen the movie, you can draw your conclusions, but everybody lived. And actually, it's one of my favorite trails that I haven't been to in years. Brush Creek Trail. Yeah. A werewolf. I don't know what we're talking about anymore. I'm sorry, Eric. Ed says, yeah, I'm on high alert when walking through the wood in the dark. I would not advise jumping out to scare me, as I will be walking to my deer stand. You will get a shot out of reflex. Yeah, no. Good warning. Yeah. Mom spit is very powerful stuff. Oh boy. Did you get this? Yeah. Said she got hit by a car. Oh. It got hit. Yeah. Yeah. So the wolf got hit by a car, and then I'm just gonna find it. If I can spell California right, that'd be good. And gray wolf. Where is it? New gray wolf pack. Might not immediately come up. I'm gonna type in purple because I know it had a purple collar. It had a GPS collar on it. No, I don't want purple collars. Oh, it was an Oregon wolf. Yep, here it is. Okay. Endangered gray wolf that traveled at least 1,000 miles from Oregon to California's central coast before his tracking collar stopped giving signals in early spring. And at that point, it may still be alive, but it was found. OR-93. Yeah. So that is the wolf. There we go. State Wildlife Agency officials announced today, November 24, 2021, that OR-93, a radio-collared male wolf from Oregon who first entered California January 30, has died after being struck by a vehicle along Interstate 5 in Kern County. There you go. Yeah, there you go. Now you know. Dandelions are nature's medicine cabinet. Yep. JJ says, woods at night usually don't bother me except one place. That place is haunted. They enjoy making tons of noise and stomping on top of the shelter and walls. That is scary. Yeah. Oh, dire wolves. Okay. Can you grow truffles? Okay, this is a good question. My neighbor is growing them. I don't know if she's being successful at it or not. Truffles, the chocolate you can make. But truffles, so for those that don't know, a truffle is a fungus. Mushrooms are fungus. It's a mushroom. Okay, we're looking for mushrooms. Truffles grow. There are mushrooms that grow out of the soil. There are mushrooms that grow out of dead trees. There's mushrooms that grow out of live trees. When you are identifying mushrooms, make sure that what you've identified is on the correct substrate, because if you're identifying that something is supposed to be on a dead tree and it's growing in the ground, it's not the right one. So truffles grow in the ground, and they are they have a relationship with the tree, and that is true for a lot of these things. Like chanterelles, they have relationships with a handful of different species of trees, and you won't find them anywhere else except for under those trees. But with the truffles, I know from talking to my neighbor, oaks will support that, and it is not native to the United States. It's native somewhere in Europe, I think. And over there, what they do is they use pigs, and the pigs will smell it, and they'll sniff it out, and they'll kind of dig it up and say, "Yep, it's here." So that's your scent dog over there, is your scent pig, and so you can dig them. You can dig for them, and so it's not something that has a fruiting body above ground, or maybe it does, and that's not what we want. I don't know. But you can inoculate trees. So if you inoculate the trees and they grow and it works, then you can actually grow your own truffles. What is the success rate? What is, how well do they grow? Do they grow in this climate or that climate? I have no idea. But I do know that there are people that inoculate oak trees for truffles. So there's your answer. That if anybody else knows, go for it, because that's what I know. Yeah. And back to the wolves, like when I was little, I don't know if it's something I saw, something I felt, something I didn't see because I was scared and it was dark and it was at the end of the driveway. But I don't even remember why I was going to the end of the driveway as a kid. But I swear I saw a wolf when I was little, and I ran back. I probably didn't, because it would probably chase me if I ran. I think I ran. I don't know if I ran, but I came back in and I was super scared because there was a wolf. Could have been a dog, could have been anything. But yeah, there you go. Mandy says, when I was first learning plants, I thought I was putting dandelions in Dan's lunch salads for a while there, but it turned out to be wild lettuce. Wild lettuce is it's called prickly lettuce. There's two types that I know of. I'm sure there's other types that I don't know of. There's prickly lettuce and linear lettuce. I don't know what it's called, but one grows tall and it has kind of biggish leaves, and sometimes it has spikes, sometimes it doesn't. Not like super spiky, but spikes. And when I was little, I used to kind of play doctor with my brother. I don't even know if he remembers this, but I always use those as band-aids. I would be like, you get to put this on here. And they had spikes on them. But it is a medicinal plant. That's not how you use it. It's the sap in it, the white stuff that's medicinal. But lettuce, the lettuce that we eat today, is from the wild lettuce. That is its predecessor. That's its ancestor. And so lettuce, like we eat for salads, used to be medicine. And they being past people, have bred it to be more tasty, because it's quite, I'm sure Dan would tell you, it's a little bitter. He's probably was going, thank you. It's a little bitter, but I mean, so is dandelion, so I don't know. But that is actually the predecessor to our current lettuces, and it was used medicinally before it was used for food, before it was adapted and used for food. So there we go. We're getting random knowledge here. Yeah. Ed says IRC. IRC? Okay. The bioluminescent algae. Oh, okay. Or whatever. It's in the ocean. It's blue. I've seen it 3 times in life. That is awesome. I've never seen that. I've seen it on videos, but I have never seen that in person. It's awesome. Eric, yes, I know. I know, it's hard to watch. Yeah. Yeah. I do have an active imagination. And we were with a complete stranger. It was a guy that, like, I don't know him, but there was, 2 of us. We had Pulaskis, We were chosen because we were hard workers that would clear a trail. Yeah, pretty funny. JJ's telling us all scary stuff. Don't go there tomorrow then, huh? Tar Hollow in Ohio. Do you guys have tar there? Are there tar pits? I know of one tar pit outside of Taft in Kern County. And then I think there's one, in LA or near LA? I've never been to that one. Interesting. More scary places. Ed says you want scary. Check this place out. Aokigahara has become associated with suicide, eventually becoming known in English name Suicide Forest. Yeah, maybe don't go there. Maybe don't go there. Yeah. JJ says, ooh, I grew the blonde ones in West Virginia. Oh, the truffles. Not as tasty as black ones, but still very nice. JJ, did you inoculate it on a tree, or how did you grow it? I'm curious because I only know about that process from my neighbor. I never actually looked it up. Oh, in Japan, I'm not likely to go to Japan anytime soon. We did have a Japanese exchange student stay with us when we were little. That was cool. Pulsar Fires has gotta go to bed. Love my chanterelles. Don't have too much fun without me. See you next week. Yes, chanterelles at my grandma's house, which has sold. The chanterelles were this big. I have pictures of that. And I made cream of chanterelle soup. That stuff's good. All right, there we go. So good night, Mandy. Good night. All right, so JJ has an answer. The blonde truffles really like the yarrow that grew under the white pine trees. Blonde truffles are native to USA. I did not know that. Learned something. Thank you, JJ. So do they partner with the pines or do they partner with the truffles? Because I know they partner. Don't they always partner? Oh, good night, everybody. Eric saying good night. Good night. Exactly, JJ. Oh, don't. Yeah, it wasn't horny goat weed. Yeah, there we go. Okay, there is tar from a coal processing plant on. Oh, tar from pine. So is it like sap, like that kind of tar, not like oil tar? Yeah. Which doctor says, guys, good night. As always, we love the chat. Be safe tomorrow. Absolutely, be safe tomorrow as well, and enjoy the day and stay safe. We got some fun stories today, huh? We answered some questions, but it's okay. We're good. It's Halloween Eve, right? All right. So to bring this back to what we started with is essential oils. What I'd like for you guys to do is think about if you're going to use it. If you're not going to use it, that's fine. If you're going to use it, take advantage of the kind of programs and discounts that are available. Conal's email, their website, and the Indiegogo link are in the description. So go ahead and contact him if you have any extra questions, or you can put it in the comments here, and I will make sure we get that to the group. I think it's valuable to have it in the comments so that everybody can see it. And I am going to go back in time and timestamp things, but it might take me a few days. So I will timestamp the questions and put them in the description at some point. Hopefully this week. It might not be until this weekend. We'll see. So we know all that. I hope you guys are excited about it. I think it's great. I think it's wonderful. I think you can do a lot of things with it. And I really think it's going to be the next thing that people are going to be wanting. And like I said, if you have questions, put them in the comments, or put them in the comment section. What do we call that? Not in the chat, the comments. And we'll get answers for you before the Indiegogo is done, because after that, their prices are going to go up. So it's good opportunity. And what I also want you guys to think about is what you would use interesting oils for. So things that you don't usually get, like I was thinking about curry leaf oil, or, like I said, eucalyptus oil you could make, that you can pretty readily find. But maybe some of the things that you couldn't find, maybe you want some lemon balm oil or some hot and spicy oregano oil. That sounds yummy. And what you could make with those, because I'd be interested in hearing what your thoughts are. Kind of get this wheel going. Hopefully you'll be able to sleep tonight, but if you can't, write things down. All right, JJ says the truffles came in with the wild saplings my son brought from the woods deep in the forest for a windbreak. With the saplings was moss, yarrow, fern. A few years later, I had truffles, and the best ones were attached to yarrow roots, yet they would not have grown if not with the pine roots. So they may have actually been attached to both of them. Maybe. I know yarrow is supposed to give other herbs extra flavor, like it's supposed to improve their flavor. I haven't independently tested this. I do have some herbs near the yarrow, but I haven't tested it. But I wonder if it has other properties as well, because I know yarrow often grows underneath trees. Yeah, interesting. Very interesting. Thank you, JJ. And so did you dig for them, or were they coming up on the surface? That's another thing I don't know. I know the black truffles they're dug for. Assuming they don't have an upper fruiting body. Yeah. Ed says, I just have to remember to turn off all my lights tomorrow so I don't get trick-or-treaters. Here too. I'm kind of tired of it. Ooh, I see the moon. Can I see the moon? Yeah, I've done that for the last couple of years. A few years ago, I went over to my neighbors and we gave out double candy. But I don't do that anymore. I'm a party pooper, I guess. I don't know. And Ed says, oh, you were talking about CO2. Go to any airsoft shop. You can get cylinders in different sizes. Yeah. Or paintball shop. Yeah, that's a good idea. You can also do SodaStream. I don't know if that's even more expensive or less expensive, but I don't know how much I don't know how much that uses because it's pressurized, but yeah. That was for Joy, right? Yeah. Awesome. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this tonight. I enjoyed it. We didn't really talk much homesteading after we talked about the it's more expensive. Okay. After the essential oils, but it was fun. I had fun. I hope you guys had fun. Yeah. Okay, JJ says I dug them. They just look like black ones, but are blonde. I found them by accident when moving some yarrow, then researched them and was very happy. That is awesome. That is awesome, JJ. Yeah, there's a lot of mushrooms that have this relationship with trees and do quite well. And, most of the time they're underground. And then every once in a while, when the rain is right, they come up to fruit, and it's called the fruiting body. It's what we call the mushroom. And they come up to reproduce, basically. And that's what we eat. And I just think it's amazing because they don't just live then, right? They're living before, living underneath the ground. And then they decide to bless us with their presence above ground. Yeah. It's pretty amazing when you think about that. And when you think about how many different types of fungus there are, how they're just all over the world. Yeah, JJ says blonde truffles are popular in Washington State and Oregon. I didn't know that. Not to me. People know that they also grow in West Virginia. I did not know that they grow in Oregon, and I I grew in Oregon. I mean, high desert, but you know, close enough to the pines. Awesome. Very cool. Very cool. Well, guys, do we have anything else to talk about before we sign off? I am hungry. I hope you guys all have a wonderful, wonderful Halloween and very safe. And yeah, I'm hoping everybody's safe. Pay attention to your tuition. We have a tuition story there. We don't need any more tuition stories or intuition. So, all right, guys, I'm going to sign off here. Thank you so much for coming, to asking good questions of Conal. Again, those links are in the description. His email is in the description, and I will timestamp this only for his stuff, not for what we talked about. And you can share this around with people. You might warn them the first half hour is what they're getting into essential oils, and the rest is just chatting, but that's all right. Yeah. And JJ says, good night, and thank you so much for the live and community. You all help make life sane. Thank you, JJ. I appreciate that. And Steve says, night all. All right. Good night, guys. Have a safe day tomorrow and tonight and always. And we will see you next week, 6 p.m. Pacific time. And I don't know what the topic is yet. We'll figure it out later. All right. Good night.